So we're back here today in our storage unit working on the Interceptor. When I rode it last time, I noticed that the rear brake is no longer functioning. So I don't see any leaks. It's full of fluid. So I'm going to make the assumption that the master cylinder has died. So I'm going to pull that off here, and I got a rebuild kit. We'll rebuild that at home. Also, when I came back a couple days ago to run it, my clutch is not functioning either. So that's either the master or the slave cylinder. Last time it was the slave cylinder, but I'm out of fluid, so I'm going to add some fluid to that before we leave and see if I can get that bled to determine if I need to take that off too. The reservoir is up here behind the side cover, runs down to the master. It looks like it might be easiest just to take this whole assembly, foot peg assembly off the side. Hopefully I brought enough tools to do that with. Those look to be 8. This stuff has never been off since I've owned it. Before I get too crazy, I'm going to take the hose off right here. I'm guessing that is a 12. Which is probably going to dump fluid everywhere. I have a pan under it. I'm going to let that drip for a minute and try to get all the fluid out of that. It's taking its own sweet time dripping, but it looks like there's a clamp behind there that I can get to once I get this assembly off. The brake light switch is right there on a little spring. So unclamp that, and maybe this will come off here. Yeah, here it goes. We will take all that home, and I got a kit at home for it. Obviously it had been leaking because all the paint's bubbled up on it. That would explain why it doesn't work. Try pumping it, hopefully it won't shoot fluid out everywhere. put it in gear and see if it'll disengage. Not yet. Yes, it does. So I'll just give this a quick fluid change for what's in there, and I think this will be good. Doesn't explain where the fluid went, but we can deal with that later. So we're in the garage with the master cylinder foot peg assembly. I have a rebuild kit, and I'm not making this up, from All Balls Racing. So that should be a good one. Apparently this fit a lot of models, a lot of Hondas. Found that on eBay, it was like 20 bucks. I'm hoping I can get this off here without putting it in the vise. I'll just pull this cotter pin and take this pin out of here, if it will come out. Yes, it should come out. Alright, let's move over to the vise. So this boot, I don't know if it's pressed in there. Not really sure what's going on with it, but I have a new one in the kit. So this boot's supposed to slide on off here. It's been in here for like 35 years, so that may not happen. And there it goes. That thing was obviously the problem. See all that brake fluid mud behind there? Let me dump that out. And then there should be a C-clip underneath there. Go ahead and try to get this brake clevis off here. Pedal clevis, whatever you want to call it, to get that boot out of the way. Okay, that turned. I hope this will turn off, which it does. And that is 12 millimeter. For those of you doing this at home. So somewhere down here in this crusty mess should be, I'm assuming, that snap ring. It's really the only place it can go. So I'm going to clean that up and try to get that snap ring out of there. I'm not sure you'd be able to see that. So I was able to get that thing out of there. And I would assume this is going to pull out. May or may not. As crusty as that is in there, it may take some help. Okay. So we're going to have to really scrub that to clean that up. There's what the push rod pushes against. And there we go. Actually, it didn't look too bad inside. It was just the outside that was nasty. In the kit, there's that C-clip, one we took out. There's a cup seal. Another cup seal. And those appear to be different, so we'll have to figure that out, but I think the inside diameter is what's different. It's a new spring, new outer boot, new O-ring, and that probably goes under the feed. And there's a small C-clip, I'm not sure where that goes. So we'll figure all this out. Plus there's new washers for the banjo fitting. So I'll get this all cleaned up and then we'll come back and try to put it together. So it's been a couple days. I soaked this rod, etc., assembly in some PB Blaster and then wire brushed it to get most of the junk off of it. I don't know if we can see it. Down inside the master cylinder, it looks pretty good other than some dirt in there, so I'm going to try to clean that dirt out and rinse it out of there. There's two different piston cups here, so we'll have to figure out which one's which. Top one. There's the bottom one, so looks like the inside diameter is different. That's how we'll be able to tell them apart. There's your ID. This is a lot more firm than the one I took out. There's no doubt about that. So the microphone decides to flake out here again, but after a little bit of struggle I managed to get the cups back on the master cylinder piston, get that on there, get the spring, little anti-seize on where the rod connects to it, get the snap ring in, get it all back together, put the O-ring under the filler cap, and we will bolt it back to the pedal assembly. And next we should get ready to go put it back on the bike. So this has been done a couple weeks. We're back at a nice dreary Memorial Day at our storage unit. So I'm going to get this thing put back on here. I'm just going to wait on that. The spring for the brake light just kind of hooks in that little hook right there. That bolts on. These two Allens. I'm pretty sure that was an 11 millimeter. I was wrong. It is a 12. So the audio crapped out here again. I'll pull the lid off the master cylinder, open up a new fresh bottle of brake fluid, pour that in, and then we'll let it bubble up for a little bit. The reservoir is actually really clean in there, so I don't mess with that any. And we'll let that bubble up, and then we'll work towards bleeding it. Yeah, it's trying to 8. Yes. Alright, I'll just let it drip for a minute, and then we'll try bleeding it. Didn't want to drip for very long. Just give it a stroke here. Let up. Give another stroke. Let up. Pump it up a little bit maybe. Starting to do something now. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. It's getting a lot more firm. Alright, looks like clean brake fluid. So I'm going to call that good. Looks like I might need to order some new brake pads. I've never replaced these, and looks like a lot of piston exposed there, so I would imagine they're fairly worn at this point. Okay, the battery decided not to hold, so we're just going to have to test on it the old-fashioned way. Anyway, it looks like it works. So we will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.